Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist?
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And we have a special guest today. This is Mr. Phil.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Phil.
All right.
That's me.
That is him. And today we've got another good show for you. We are going to be talking about Animal Crossing. And before we get into that, if you don't know what Animal Crossing is, it's basically slavery the game. You're some person, you're thrown on a deserted island with all these animals, and suddenly they get you a house. You gotta keep building the house, and you keep building, and then they keep upgrading your house. But I didn't ask for this. I didn't want a new house. I'm fine with what I got. But no, sorry, we just already built it for you while you were out. So there's a lot of problems. You never get out of debt. Basically, it can either, if you don't want to call it slavery the game, it's also known as student loans the game. So have fun with that. All right, before we get to that, we've got a couple of things that we've got to talk. You know, the show we're 20 something episodes in. If you haven't been listening by now, then what the hell are you doing? Go get your friends, make them bother and make them listen to this. You can find our stuff all over the place. That includes our website where we also have some articles and additional content. That's whydoesthisexistpod.com. You can also get all of our stuff on Podbean, YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Find us where Why Does This Exist? And like, comment, subscribe. Hit that stupid bell that nobody likes. That egregious bell of damnation. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, TuneIn, Alexa, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, and Stitcher. That's where you can find all of our stuff. If you want to give us some extra loving, right around the love handles where it's supposed to go. Mine are getting a little chubby. I got these COVID weight going on. I'm trying to get rid of that. But anyway, if you want to give us some extra love and show your support, you can head on over to patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. That's patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. And if you give us a couple of extra bucks, you'll have a couple of additional things that you can do. Like, we'll give you a shout out on the show. You can pick our episode. You can give us a couple of bucks, and you can say, "Hey, listen, I want you to talk about gangrene, and we're going to have to do it because you gave us some money." So how's that for a bonus? On top,
like gangrene, the disease.
Yeah, I don't know, gangrene, the band, whatever you want.
Oh,
Powerpuff Girls?
The gangrene boys from
gang.
Powerpuff Girls, I don't care. Any form of gangrene, we can talk about it. If you want to give us a couple of bucks and that's your topic of choice, then I guess we got to do it. You can also be privy to our live commentary on items that we're watching or listening to. You can get a watch along that includes episodes of TV shows that we've watched, such as Heil, Honey, I'm Home, which was the first episode, or the Sting versus Vader White Castle of Fear match with our special guest Spaceman Frank at that point in time. We've also got some excess banter, and we've got some listen-alongs too. It's a lot of fun. If we can get the videos, then that's great. If YouTube's being a jerk, then we get the audio on there for you. So you can listen to it while you're driving, and you can have fun with us. And it's almost like you're watching it too. And if you've got any other tips that you want to let us know about, or give us some feedback indiscriminately and privately, you can do that at whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com. Just send us an email at whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com. And if you want to be cool and follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at WDTEPod and Facebook.com/whydoesthisexist. Get on out there. Show us your love. Thanks for everything. If you listen to the show and support the show, we thank you very much. All right, that's the news. Here's the weather. Let's get on with the goddamn show. Animal Crossing. What is going on with this game? But actually, wait a minute. Phil, why are you here? Who invited you to this show? Why do you exist?
You know, that's just,
Chris, what's your purpose for tonight? What's going on?
these are all very loaded questions.
Don't give me the exact details on why you exist. I don't need to know what day of the week it was or what wasn't on TV. It just
Yeah, I was just about to go into the details of birthing and all that other strange thing.
yeah,
you know.
we only got an hour.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm here to talk about my show that I do within Animal Crossing and also hopefully enlighten people about what Animal Crossing even is, because that's the issue with getting views for my show, because not a lot of people know what it even is.
What's your show?
I basically do a scripted comedy show within the game Animal Crossing. So essentially, I'll write an episode and then I'll record it and do all the voices, or have a guest do some voices, and then I'll edit it and throw it up on YouTube. And that's it. I try to make a comedy show with a broad enough sense of humor that a lot of people will watch it. But the struggle is, you know, they see the Animal Crossing thumbnail and people might not want to click that. So, but the humor is there. So that's the fun part about it. And I love doing it.
But the Animal Crossing thumbnail might also be the thing that draws them in. So you've got a bag. I mean, everything in this world is like 50-50. So I mean, what are you going to do? We're not going to talk about that, but it's
True.
But it's a very cool project that you've got, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's a weird, funny talk show that's a non-talk show, and then there's even the Wheel of Death at the end of it. I actually really enjoy watching them. Rob and I have performed on a couple. In case everybody in digital media device land isn't aware of this, which I'm sure most of you are not, all five of you. Rob and I have been guests on a couple of your shows, and I gotta say, you give really great direction, and you're really easy to work with, and there's a lot of fun and all the thought and these extra backgrounds that you and the layers that you give to these characters, I think, is a really cool thing.
Yeah, thank you. And I rely heavily on subtext when I tell the story. So, and it's funny enough, I'm telling a story. It's not just, you know, a simple talk show. On the surface level, it might be, but beneath it, when you look at behind the scenes and what they're actually saying, then you could find the story there.
Right. Which I think is very cool. But what's the name of the show? What's the name of the channel? How can everybody find this?
It's spelt like cinephile, like someone who likes film, cinephile, except you take out the E, so it's Chinephil, and it's a space, and then films. So Chinephil Films is the name of my channel.
Okay, very cool.
The show itself is called the Animal Crossing New Horizons Talk Show. I gave it literally the most generic names. That way, if you just type in Animal Crossing, it would hopefully come up. But yeah, that's been a hit or miss thing, just like with the show. So
Well, it's the YouTube algorithm trying to beat the YouTube algorithm.
What's your general secret? Because you're almost at 1,000 subscribers now. Like, how did you really start getting grounded there? Because we've got a couple of things that we got to work on with that. But I just want to know, how did you did it, and how long did you do it before you started noticing anything organic?
So I kind of missed the boat, and here comes some really good advice for anyone starting YouTube. So when I first started my channel, I was making basically Halo zombie films, and I had these really successful videos back in like 2008, 9, back when we even literally called them videos. And they were very successful. I had like 100K views on like the second part of one of them. But then I didn't follow through. I didn't like keep making Halo zombie films like even by the month. I just kind of like, my channel just like died. I didn't post anything for years. So that's basically how I got my following back in the day. I got like 500 subscribers in like 2 months. And then I didn't do much. And then I started reviving my channel during COVID, during quarantine and everything. I started making these comedy shorts. And I was like, let me be consistent. Let me just make something each week. So that's what I did. And then about 20 or so episodes later, here I am.
That's awesome. All right, so let's figure out what is Animal Crossing, since that's the main reason why we've got you here. What is this thing? I've never played it. I've watched maybe 10 to 30 minutes of gameplay, like in person. I still don't know what the hell it is. I've never touched the controller on this thing. So like, what is this?
It's essentially, like you said, a student loan simulator. But it's more or less like a farming simulator or like The Sims, basically. You have your little character and whatnot, and all you do basically day in, day out is you just do very mundane fetch quests for the villagers, and you just pay back your debt for your house. It's that simple on the surface. But it has all the character and heart of like whatever anime game, because it's Japanese game developers, so it's got all the other little extra stuff, and it looks good on the surface, so it definitely differentiates between other video games these days. It's more cheerful.
Yes. You also have to like try to kind of like please your villagers. So like every Animal Crossing game, you start out with like a random assortment of villagers that are kind of like just pulled out of like they have like a few hundred or something, or 100 animals that are different characters that you could possibly have, and you get like like a dozen or so in your village, and you have to try to like please them and like make friends with them, and sometimes they can be pretty temperamental and get they're like the AI is very interesting, like the writing, like sometimes the animals are like kind of like funny, and like you could like insult them by giving them things and they just get mad, but
and like you give them things they didn't want, or like you just
like they'll just like they react in different ways to like different things you give them, and there is like certain like people like that like things better than others, like certain items better than others, and kind of that kind of thing. So and like if you go, so like this is a lot of people don't know, like Animal Crossing actually uses the whatever console you're playing on, it uses the internal clock, so it'll actually be in real time. So, like, if you play at midnight, it's going to be midnight in your game. So, if you, like, try to, like, if you find... Sometimes there's people wandering out at midnight. Most of the people are, like, asleep in their houses. But if you go away for a while and, like, you don't play your game for a while, they'll actually, like, be like, oh, I missed you. Where were you? How are you not my friend anymore? Like, well, sometimes like that. Sometimes, like, oh, I missed you. Where were you? And like your town will actually be like overgrown with weeds. That's another thing. Is you have to really kind of keep your town like clean and like nice, and pull up weeds and plant flowers.
Yeah. It's a Parks and Rec simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand that like the reason why the game keeps progressing. At least this is the first one. I don't know if the other ones are like exactly the same.
They're pretty much the same. They like add new features for each different game. Like there's like Animal Crossing City Folk, where like they had more of like a city area that you can go to. There was Animal Crossing New Leaf, which added some added a couple different things. There's like a campground, and you could go to like a tropical island and stuff. And then the newest one is New Horizons, which added like basically you can like terraform your whole island. You can
because you have like an island resort, and the resort keeps getting bigger. Okay, well, like the thing that I was getting at was like the thing that progresses the game essentially is once you've completed paying off your debt, like the town I guess like Tom Nook, he's like the head of the town, or like the mayor basically, right?
Yes. No, he's just the real estate guy, basically. Okay. So basically, different games there was different mayors. Like the first game, there was like this like old turtle dude who was a mayor.
Mortimer.
Yeah, and then like in I believe New Leaf. Yeah, in New Leaf, you are actually the mayor of the town.
Okay.
And New Leaf is the one that introduced Isabella as a character, who was like kind of like a breakout character. Now she's in Smash Brothers, and
she's like she can be pretty feisty in Smash Brothers. If you know use her, she can be pretty broken.
Yeah, so she's like your assistant in New Leaf. That was when they introduced her. She's like the mayor's assistant, and basically, like just tells you about like what's going on in the town and what the people are mad about and want you to fix and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay, I see. Like the thing that I was
yeah.
getting at was basically like once you're done paying off your debt on like I know in the first game it's a house. I guess it's like in
Yes.
Horizons it's the island resort or whatever.
It's your house in Horizons too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They just auto upgrade it for you. Like it's like you didn't ask for a new house. You didn't like say, oh, I'm kind of this house is a little small. I think I've outgrown it. I could use a bigger house. Like hey, like can you just put in a loan for me and just like start building a new house? There's none of that. It's or you don't wake up and just suddenly feel like a mansion and then like you just tell the designer and they're like, okay, yeah, we could do that for you. Like just go to the bank. No, they just do it for you. They're just like you wake up, you walk away, and you come back, and they're like, "Oh, we built a mansion for you," and you're like, "Oh, gee, thanks, that was really nice." And they're like, "Yeah, but
Here's your bill.
yeah, you owe us all the money for it." And you're like, "But I didn't. There was no consent here. Like how? Like this is probably illegal." And they're like, "Not on our house. No, not where we.
No,
this
Tom Nook owns you.
Yeah,
Basically.
So like, that's a problem. I hope that the real world doesn't get to that.
Well,
Indentured
like
servitude, but we kind
in
of
the newest
are.
one. In the newest one, you could pay off your house, but like I think they want to kind of like encourage the player to like upgrade the island too. So like it's not
Okay.
like you pay off your house and then like immediately like owe more money on your house kind of thing. It's like okay, you can pay off your house or you can go build like stuff for the island or So they kind of like try to break it up a little bit for the newest one. But yeah, the original was that. Like you paid off, so you bought your house, you're immediately in debt as soon as you walk into the town.
Oh Jesus.
You pay off Tom Nook, then he immediately upgrades your house without you even asking him, and then you have to pay him off again, and then so on and so forth until you have like the largest house. And I think eventually he stops. I think eventually you just have like the biggest house possible. And
Because you've given him enough money to retire by then.
well, yeah, but it keeps. Yeah, I just realized something too. So Tom Nook is a Tanuki, and his name is Tom Nook. So it's
Yeah.
like almost like
Tanuki.
Tom Nook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never noticed that before.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
That's funny.
I just thought I thought they were just playing off like the whole Nook's Cranny thing because that's the name of his shop. But yeah, the Tanuki, that's actually really funny. I didn't think about that.
I mean, they're like they're all of like their characters. Well, not all of them, but like some of them have like weird puns in their name
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
are like
Yes.
closer to the animals that they are, or like they have quirks that like you could that you could see.
they have like
to an
a
animal.
lot of time their personality is like their name is based on like their personality.
Yes.
Like there's like an eagle named Pierce, and he's kind of like this like like very like I guess I don't want to say like haughty, but like he's like very like I'm Pierce, like kind of like Captain America almost.
Yeah.
It's like-
And he's dressed in
Okay.
armor.
yeah.
And like there's this guy Al. He's a gorilla, but he's like wearing he's wearing a tracksuit. He kind of looks like Diaz.
A lot of the characters are very strange. They're like they like have these weird ticks and like it's just like they're very interesting.
Yeah, and some more than others because a lot of times, especially in the new game, they have basically
Why
a
is there
personality
bird named
tree.
Anchovy?
Yeah, they have like a personality tree. So, and they'll say things based on their basically what personality they have, not necessarily what character they are. So it's a little disappointing compared to the first one. You kind of feel like everyone's so unique. So.
Yeah, like we've got like Anka here, and she's like Egyptian, and she's got like a cat, which is kind of cool. I think that's neat. But they have they have a ton of them. Avery is he's an eagle also. Like that kind of makes sense. Like or like Babra, being a sheep.
I don't want to like say that like
I don't want to say every single name, but
I
like
don't want to put people off that have like never played it. That's like it's like it's just like a friggin' like busy work odd job simulator because it's not all that. Like there are some relaxing things like you can go fishing, you can go like that's one of the funnest things about it is that you go fishing and based on what time of year it is because again there's seasons because it's based on your game system's internal clock. So you go fishing in the summer, there's different fish based on in the summertime, there's different fish in the winter. Same thing with like insects. and you can find fossils. And basically, what you do with the fish and the fossils and the insects is you bring them to the museum, and like you get to like display them in the museum. And it's like the museum is actually like it's like an insect zoo, an aquarium, and like a dinosaur fossil museum all in one.
Well, that's kind of cool. And you just sell it back to them, basically?
No, you just donate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So,
but you get to like see it, so you get to like walk through the museum and see like all your hard work, basically. Like, look at all these trophies they made, basically.
The coolest part of the game, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the museum.
Okay, and it doesn't like this doesn't affect your like debt or your credit score or anything in the game.
No.
Nope.
But
okay,
you know,
is there a
once
credit
you get
score? Like, do you ever like? Do they ever tell you like, hey, you're late on this payment? Now now there's more interest or anything? Do they do that or?
Well, that's the one good thing is that you don't like. There's no deadline for the payments. You could just like pay it off at your leisure.
Okay.
And that like Tom Nook says that in the beginning. He's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, you can pay me off in like as much time as you want."
Yeah, because he knows you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. And like so, once like when you like say you catch like a shark, like if you catch another shark, the museum already has it, so you can't donate it. So you could sell the shark for money, and then
okay,
like depending on what however rare the fish or the insect is, it actually might be worth quite a bit of money. So that's a good way to make money. Plus, like you can get fruit if you visit someone else's. Every island has its own fruit, like in the new one. So like if you visit one of your friends' islands, you could like take some fruit from them, bring it back to your island, then plant it. And because it's like a non-native fruit, it'll be more like worth more than the fruit that's native to your island. So you can make more money on it.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
That's
then there's the stock market too in Animal Crossing.
There's a stock market?
Well, it's the turnip market.
Okay.
And basically every Sunday, I believe is when
yes.
Yeah. So every Sunday, the turnip salesman comes to your island, and you could buy turnips from her. And like the turnips, you could buy like stacks of them. So you could buy like 10,000 bells, which is the currency worth of turnips. And basically, what you do is you go to Nook's Cranny every day and check what the price of turnips are. So you obviously want to buy low and sell high, and that's like really the way to make money. You can make like hundreds of thousands of bells just by selling turnips.
That's funny. So bells is the currency. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's not so bad actually. I mean, I'm just like I said, I've never played the game, so like I don't know the logistics of it. I don't really know anything other than like just the crux of it is just do work, make money, and like just.
It's like a slice of life simulator. Really, is what it is.
But it does seem a lot more fun. Like, I just thought it was like indentured servitude with cute animals, but...
It is that, but it's like more relaxing than indentured servitude.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
There's no deadline for your payments, so you could do whatever you want at your leisure.
Yeah. You could focus on island building all day. Like, you don't even have to worry about anything. It's a very, stress-free game, which makes it amazing to me.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, that's why New Horizons came out at the beginning of the pandemic.
The perfect time.
It was really the perfect time because people, A, wanted, like, something to do because they were stuck at home. B, were looking for something that was, like, relaxing because it was a really stressful situation for everybody. And C, wanted to be able to do things that they couldn't do because they weren't allowed to go outside because of, like, lockdown. So... like, Animal Crossing was, like, the perfect thing, because it was all three of those things. It was something to do, it was relaxing, and you could go fishing, you could go, bug catching, you could plant stuff, you could plant trees, and it was stuff that you couldn't do because the pandemic was going on.
The socialization, too, because you're interacting with all these different animals, and you're outside and all this stuff, so, like, there's just...
Well, and it has multiplayer. Like, the newest one has online multiplayer, so you could go to your friend's island and, like, play with them and hang out and check out what, like, they're doing on their island, and especially with the way they did, like, the terraforming and, like, the ability to, like, you can make whatever kind of island you want. Like, people were doing, like, these crazy, like, art projects with their islands and making, like, scenes from movies and, like, all this crazy stuff. So they've definitely expanded it way more than what the original game was. So the original game was pretty good, but it came out, this was on the GameCube in 2001 it came out. And so it was kind of like limited by the technology of the time. And they've, upgraded every single game that's come out since then. But like the New Horizons, which is the newest one, is like by far like the most involved. Like there's way more stuff to do than ever before.
Okay. So that sounds pretty cool, actually. So so this was the perfect thing to like have to come out of a pandemic, because
Yes.
there's all those different factors in there that just people couldn't do, and there's cute animals. So yeah, that's a pretty good win.
Originally, I believe is actually where it came out in Japan on the N64 originally, or was supposed to come out for the N64 disc system, I believe. And then
wasn't it called Animal Forest or something? Or
yes.
Okay.
And then it ended up, when it came to America, they released it on GameCube instead. And the interesting thing was, when this came out, again, this was like, when it came out, it was kind of like way ahead of its time, because there really hadn't been many games that utilized the internal clock as much as Animal Crossing did, because it was like the whole game was based on your internal clock. And, like, I remember it actually came packaged with a memory card because of how big it was and how much memory it took up. It would literally take up like one standard Nintendo GameCube memory card was like your Animal Crossing save.
Like
I still have mine. Yep.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes, by itself. It was a very large game. And if you tried to use a regular memory card, it would say like, oh, there's not enough room on this. Like if you have other games on there, they'd be like, they would just straight up tell you in the beginning, there's not enough room to save on this memory card.
So did it ever come with a memory card?
Yeah, it came. No, that's what the original came with a memory card. It came packaged with a memory card. So it was very ambitious for the time, and it's interesting because this was like kind of like a different direction for Nintendo. It was a new IP for them when it came out. They had all their other, obviously Mario, Zelda, Metroid, all that. And all of a sudden, Animal Crossing just came out of nowhere, and it was like, "Oh, this is interesting. It's a new game,
And it's
and it's actually obviously done well. It's completely different. It is a very Japanese game though, because there are a lot of Japanese like games like that are kind of like slice of life simulators like this, where you're just like basically living your life. So it's actually surprising that it like really took off in America, because we're so action oriented. Everyone wants something where you can like kill something.
All right. I mean, this might have just been like something that like parents would see, and they were just like, "Oh, this is something I could just get for my kid." Like, it had just been something that they like bought their 8-year-old, where they're like, maybe I don't want them playing any violent games, but hey, this looks cute.
Well, I remember there was a lot of hype surrounding it back when it first came out in 2001.
Okay.
There was like Nintendo Power was really hyping it up, and they're like, there's a lot you could do. It's just like a game where you basically live your life. Like,
God, I miss Nintendo Power.
Yeah, and for that time period,
I miss all those old game magazines. I
used to get Game Informer all the time.
Yeah, Game Informer was great. I just miss that place. I was interviewing at a company one time, like this was years ago, and GamePro, that one I missed. That was my favorite.
Oh yeah, GamePro was good too.
And like one of the people that I interviewed with was he wrote for GamePro under the alias Scary Larry, and
really?
And we were just like. It was a really good interview. I didn't end up getting it. I think they just like canceled the position. I think what happened, but the response that I gotten back was just like we actually had to like take down the posting. Like we actually don't have the budget to fill a role at all. He was a very nice guy, and like we were just like shooting the breeze for like the whole interview. It was basically a non-interview. We were just talking about GamePro.
That's awesome.
But yeah, very cool guy. Hope you're listening, Scary Larry. I remember you.
Yeah, those were like the days when you you go get come home and your Nintendo Power, your Game Informer would come in the mail, and you just get to see all the new game. Because that was a time, you're living at home, you're a kid, you don't have money to just go out and buy a video game whenever you want. So it was kind of like a way to live vicariously a little bit. You get to see all the new games coming out. Stuff that you're not going to be able to get until your birthday or Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that was just enough for me to just like have those there, to just have the magazines there and just look at it, just like, oh man, like I can't wait till this comes out, and then I can't wait till I can't wait till I can actually get this like a year or two later or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I hope I get to like just the thought of I hope I get to play this one day. Like that would just do it enough because the game would look so awesome, and they just had so much more care with like the product and the writing, and like everybody was passionate, and like it was written as though you could the way that it was written, you could imagine the people writing it having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Because like sometimes like I mean I don't know if I got this from like having like a journalism background or anything, but like you can when you're writing and you're in a room of like other writers or whatever, you can tell the state of the mood of the person who was writing it after a while. Like I don't know if it's something that I can do, but I don't know if it's something that everybody else does. But like when I read things, I can tell how the person was feeling based on the words that they've chosen, and and the delivery of those words.
Yeah, you can tell when someone hates their job and they're like just there for a paycheck, basically.
Yeah, I remember there was one time where I was working at a place, and there was like somebody sent out the test copy of something that we were doing, and I was reading it, and I didn't know who wrote it at the time. I didn't know who wrote it. I just looked at it, and I was reading the test copy, and I was just thinking out loud because we were, it was only a couple of us. It was only it was a fairly small team, so I was just reading it out loud, and I was like, "Ooh, whoever wrote this was angry." and the person next to me is like, it just starts cracking up, and I'm like, "Oh, you had a meeting with so and so today or yesterday, didn't you?" And the person's like, "Yes, I did," with like tears in their eyes. Just, and I'm like, "Yeah, we can't send this out. I'm gonna make it happy for you, okay?" So that happens, but I miss that. I miss those scenes and just like and just being a kid reading the magazine and just getting that like Christmas morning feeling.
Yeah.
You're at whatever point in time, even if you're just like reading it before you go to bed, or like if you're on the toilet and you're like, "Hey, I gotta read something," and it's just there. Yeah. You're like, "Oh man, I miss this."
This would be like when I got home from school and I was like, sitting in my kitchen eating like a snack before I did my homework. I would read like Nintendo Power or Game Informer or something and just check out all like the new games that were coming out.
Yeah, I would read it before breakfast, before I had to go to school. Sometimes my mom would like, she'd like grab it off the table. She'd like bring it into the car with her. She's like, "No, we have to go to school. Bring it. Just read it in the car. I can't. I got stuff to do today."
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Phil? You've been awful quiet. What's your game?
Well, I was good.
Memory.
Well, I actually had a subscription to Game Informer and Nintendo Power when I was a kid for like over a decade, all through high school. I also remember, funny enough, in Nintendo Power they had the like special giveaways and codes for Animal Crossing, so you get like custom items from like Zelda for Animal Crossing. It was like the coolest thing ever. Stuff. Yeah, and all the cheat codes and everything.
Remember they used to put the Game Genie and the Game Shark cheats in the back.
Yeah.
I think that's how I got Mew through like a cheat from those from Nintendo Power for the red and blue games were like going around. But continue.
No, I was gonna say it's all good stuff back then. Oh my gosh, so much. I had I would organize my Game Informers by their cover. I'd be like, all right, what's my favorite? They got the God of War, you got Halo 2, which I kept like in a special place because I freaking love that Game Informer cover. Yeah. Like some you just go back and flip through. I mean, when I was a kid, like I like to draw, so I'd be like, oh, let me get out the Halo 2 one. I just freaking draw Spartans all day.
Oh yeah.
So,
cool.
Yeah. I remember there was some I think Electronic Gambling Monthly or like Xbox magazine, they actually used to come with like a demo disc
Yes,
Xbox
Xbox magazine. Yes, the
Yeah.
Xbox magazine. I still have tons of those discs lying around my room.
Yeah, I remember like I got one once and like it had like the Chronicles of Riddick, and I was like,
Yes.
playing it, I'm like, this game is so freaking cool.
Yeah, it's like the best graphics.
Yeah,
Didn't PlayStation Magazine do that too for a little while?
I think so. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, both of them, and then there was another one.
Because I remember
that
playing.
did it. It had,
I
like, a
remember
PC
playing
game.
Medieval. I remember playing Medieval or Medieval 2.
Yeah.
Like, or at least the demo for that, and it was like that, and like I think Spyro Year of the Dragon or something was on that.
Oh yeah.
There was some
Spyro,
stuff.
there you go.
Yeah, there was one that I had too that was like a PC game. It was like a disc for like the computer, and it had some like friggin' like awesome real time strategy game that I could never find ever again. And it was like one of the coolest thing I ever played. Of course,
Yeah.
like I could never actually find it in the store, so it was like lost. But yeah, those were. I mean, those were like the days, you know. I you know, print is kind of like dead now. Like I don't even.
Yeah.
I think Game Informer is still in print because like
Yes, because they
You can get
rely
it.
on GameStop. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
GameStop's
It's GameStop basically bought them. But
Yeah.
now that GameStop is like dying too, there might not even be a Game Informer anymore eventually because you know
No, they're
GameStop is kind of going the way of the
they're-
dodo bird a little bit.
They probably won't be. I mean, if GameStop's new CEO can like figure out a way to turn it around, then it might work. I mean, I have no idea. I mean,
I think the only thing that's really saving them right now is the friggin' apes on Reddit that are like
Yeah.
buying
That's-
like GameStop stock like tomorrow.
yeah,
And like
basically that
inflating it.
yeah,
so
that-
ridiculous.
Yeah, the ragtag group of rogues, the ragtag group of rogues that we're talking about. Of course, we have clips on the GameStop on the whole GameStop thing when like the big thing happened.
Oh yeah.
Check that out on YouTube. But right now, it's just them. Like I think,
Yeah.
like if anything, I feel like I feel like Wall Street is like watching that sub. So like, I feel like they have somebody. They must have somebody watching.
They absolutely are. They have people that are like they're whatever. Like there's hedge funds now that are like placing people on Reddit. I think just to like kind of pump up certain stocks that they want. You know.
Yeah, I mean they'll figure a way. I mean they're like just throw some interlopers in. I mean some of them the Wall Street bettors have found out, but like some of the interlopers maybe they've gotten other people who like weren't interlopers getting kicked out. Like at this point, it's really just like it's just the same. It's like just all the apes are just like they're the only ones doing anything right now with it. I think.
It's kind of
like-
become like this weird like mutually beneficial like symbiosis though that they have now, where like the hedge funds are making money and Wall Street bets are making money because they're like pumping up certain stocks and like they don't even like care, like they're just doing what they want now.
No,
at
I
this
know.
point.
They I see so many posts and they're just like bragging about their losses. Where it's like,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, lost 250K, but like still holding YOLO. I'm like,
Yeah.
if I would be.
That should be the next Animal Crossing game. Tom Nook, Tom Nook just owns a hedge fund.
That's
So
what
Tom
he's
Nook's like,
Yeah.
your first mission is to pick all the fruit and then go on Reddit and tweet about it.
They would have to come up with some like fancy like pun that was like Reddit except like something like Animal Crossing related. Like
Oh my
Leaf
God.
It or something like that.
Leave it,
Yeah.
Reddit. Or they do Reddit. Wait, no, Reddit does have two Ds, right? No.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, they'd have
Because
to
I was
have
going to
two
say, there
Fs.
is that character, that freaking shady fox character named Red.
Oh yeah, that's
And if it
right.
was
Oh.
Reddit.
Yeah, that sells
Yeah.
fake art. Or
Yeah,
sometimes
so
it's real.
and he calls you cousin.
Oh
Like, you're my
God.
cousin.
He's
I'll
like
give you a
doing
good discount.
It's like he's like Russian or something, so he's like,
Yeah, he's
"Oh,
like,
my
here's-
cousin,
yeah.
let's go bowling.
Oh, it's my cousin. Here's a chair. It's worth $5K, but I'll sell it to you for 10 because you're my cousin.
Oh my God. Yeah, like that will be the next game. Like Tom Nook just starts a hedge fund, and like with all the money that he's gotten from previous games in the island resort.
Yeah, millions of billions of bells from all the people he's exploited.
Yeah, so he just starts this like ridiculous hedge fund, and he gets somebody else to start Leaf It, but he's like friends with them, so like you're basically manipulating his Ponzi scheme.
maybe it is kind of like it could be like a commentary on like slavery or indentured servitude because like the player character is the only human being on like in the town or on the island.
Oh, geez.
So it's like they're bringing this other race in just to do work for them.
Oh,
like,
no.
Be indentured to them.
I never thought of it like that. That's very true.
That is true. That's bad. That's real.
And that is like exactly how the Japanese would do a commentary on something like that because they just like they don't care. Like
Jesus.
And I had one of my characters, the co-host Coco, asked a question once to the main host, and he basically asked, which is a very good question. The Animal Crossing universe is, do animal villagers eat other villagers? Because what do they eat besides fish? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they eat like whatever their like
just fish and bugs and fruit.
Species is like so like if it's like a pig they eat like grass. If it's a horse they eat like oats. If it's a lion they eat the other villagers.
Oh my god!
Because there's like several octopus villagers, but you could also catch octopus in the ocean. So
oh yeah, maybe it's like one of those things where like. It's like there's anthropomorphic animals, but then there's like lower versions of those animals that aren't.
Which is crazy.
And
there's also little owls that perch on the sign that shows like daily and weekly updates. But then the owl freaking runs the museum.
Yeah, so and there's like seagulls and shit too, and there's like a seagull like sailor that washes up on the beach.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like the SpongeBob theory, where like. They've evolved because they've evolved from like either radiation or like just not or like they're just.
It's radiation because it's Bikini Bottom. It's bikini. It's actually Bikini Atoll. Canonically, SpongeBob takes place at Bikini Atoll, like in the ocean where they did nuclear tests.
Well, I've seen I've seen a theory recently where it's just where like they're like a separate area of like ocean life that science hasn't reached.
I mean, that's certainly
nothing to do with it. Yeah, but, I mean, he proved.
But then
he was very convincing. I'll say that.
But doesn't the movie have like David Hasselhoff and they're like flying on his back and shit? Like, wouldn't science know about them then?
I would think so. I mean, I think he addresses that.
If David Hasselhoff literally came in and said, like, I just found this anthropomorphic talking sponge and his starfish friend, they would just think, okay, David, how much did you have to drink today? Like,
actually, the David Hasselhoff like prop like sold for like for like a good amount of money.
Yeah, I saw that.
What prop?
Oh my god! It's so
they used
creepy.
They used like a what do they call it? Not life size. It was like larger, like basically a giant sculpture of David Hasselhoff swimming.
Yeah, it sold like what the hell?
They used it for the movie, like it was a big animatronic piece,
like the freaking shark from Jaws.
Basically, yeah, but it was David Hasselhoff.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know what it actually sold for now, because like
I want to say $1 million.
I think it did too. Like everything that's showing up is like in January, and they're like thinking that it's supposed to go between like 750 and 50 and like 1.5 mil for this thing.
The estimated highest bid was 1.5 million.
Oh my god!
But I think this is an old article. This is from January. This article.
No, they're all from January. Look at how freaking let me share this screen. Look at how freaking creepy this damn thing is.
It is very creepy.
Oh my god!
It actually looks pretty realistic too.
Just look at that thing. Look at that bad boy.
I love it.
It's so freaking weird.
It is really giant. Like it's literally like
it's like this is still
like a Titan. It's a Titan of David.
Yeah, it's like a small Titan of David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, this is like a 10, 11 foot prop. No, maybe bigger. I don't even know. It's freaking huge. Oh god! Like look at that. That's so weird.
Well, I don't know what that is. What you just clicked. I have no idea what that
Maybe
is.
Somebody made something else. You know what?
Yeah, because it's that. That's what it is, right there.
Yeah, that's what this is.
It's him laying horizontally, which is so freaking funny.
Oh my god! I wonder how long they spent
like
that thing.
What? There's like one that looks like, I don't even know if that's the same thing, but it looks like he's like grimacing in pain.
Yeah, that's the one that I just checked. I think it was something different.
Oh.
But yeah, this is a. Anyway, moving on. Back to so what's the main differences between Animal Crossing and and all the other games basically? Like I know New Horizons, you're on the island resort, and
Yeah.
the other one is you're just in a town and this is your house on the first one.
Yeah, the first one was actually
The
just like a
differences.
small village.
Yeah.
And there wasn't nearly as much stuff to do. Like you could still fish and catch bugs and stuff, but it was small. It was limited by like I said before the time period, the technology at the time. Different ones have kind of like done like slightly different things. Like I think Wild World, it was like you could go out more and there was like more like areas that you could do in the world. I didn't play Wild World, so I'm not too familiar with it.
I only played the first one and the new one, so that's the extent of what I know.
I played the first one and New Leaf, which is the one that came out for 3DS. New Leaf kind of had some other New Leaf, like I said, had like you could go to a tropical island. Basically, you took a boat there, and then you could like go fishing for like tropical fish even in the wintertime. And there was like coconuts. You can get like different there was rare fruits and rare bugs there. I think also New Leaf was the one that introduced snorkeling. So snorkeling is like obviously it's exactly what it sounds like. You can go snorkeling and then you can go like diving for different things.
Was that the one where there was a submarine? Because apparently that got taken out of New Horizons, which is the new one.
There might have been more.
Somebody said something about a submarine once in a comment, but I don't know which game that was in.
One of the older ones, because the one that I'm New Leaf had. It was like a motorboat that like this like old salty guy would bring you to the island. And he
the Kappa guy? Was it the Kappa? Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember that in the first game. Yeah. That was like the coolest thing ever. I missed that. Like a lot of people are asking for like Brewster, who did the coffee shop in the museum, and then like Kappa and like the mayor, and like there's a lot of cut content that people say is going to be coming out, but it hasn't yet.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they have plenty of DLC planned because Nintendo's
but it's
diving first into DLC.
Yeah, it's been slow since the holidays though. Like usually they did like a monthly like event almost, it seems.
Yeah.
But now they're recycling the old ones and not really adding stuff. So I'm still waiting for, like I said, the coffee shop and like just other things to do, because you could do all the daily things in the game within 10 minutes. Like you could literally just play the game 5-10 minutes a day and you're good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was the problem I always have with Animal Crossing is you get to a certain point in your village where basically you're just doing the maintenance and you've already done like pretty much everything there is to do. So that is the one flaw of Animal Crossing, is that it does get old fairly quickly. Once you like get to a certain point in the game where you have like a steady income and you get most of like the bugs and the fish, like you kind of just like you go about your daily chores and you play for like 20 minutes and then you're done for the day.
Yep. Or you time skip everything and you do literally everything in the entire game within 48 hours and beat the whole thing. But I may or may not have done that. But yeah,
they used to yell at you for that. You feel like if you did something like that, or you like they would sense it.
They took that guy out too. Rossetti.
Yeah.
They took that out too. I just realized that.
Yeah,
and the other thing. Oh my gosh, the other thing, Rob. My biggest complaint was they took out the gyroids or gyroids, whatever you want to call them.
Well, they had the ones that you could like talk to when you're doing construction, but that was
that was it. It was fun to make your own custom music based on the gyroids.
Yeah.
I missed
always
that.
liked that. Yeah.
The other big thing I missed, and this was actually the first thing I noticed. I played the game for about a month when it came out in April, right before quarantine or during, whatever. And they used to have this thing. They still kind of do, but they used to have this thing where the villagers would be like, "Oh, here's here's a quest. Can you go give this to so and so?" And then you give it to them, you get an item. They took that out, but I don't know how many months I played the game, and then suddenly a random villager was like, "Hey, can you give this?" I'm like, "Oh shit."
It
But-
used to be way more frequent. I think
Yeah, you
it
know
was
what I
still
mean. Like
there.
it felt like
Yeah.
you were actually building a bond with some of these characters.
Yes.
You know, when I was a kid. But then when I'm playing it now, I'm like, why did they take that out? It just makes it less. You know, they still greet
they're
you.
trying to comment like on how like they don't really give a shit about you. They're just using you for like land development. Like,
Yeah.
oh, do all
Yeah.
these chores for us. Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Yeah, but that was my biggest gripe with the game.
Yeah.
When it first came out. I just missed some of the, like, a lot of people were saying it was cut content, but I don't really believe that. I just think they were just saving it for future updates, which is good. But now that it's been over a year, people are still wondering, like, oh, where's this? Where's Kappa? Where's, you know, this thing, that, because now Red's in the game, but he got added, like, almost a year in. You know, the painting, he sells the paintings and the fake art and whatnot. But, yeah, but it's
that's what
like
I was
I
going to
said.
get to. I was going to say Tom Nook could also sell, you could also sell NFTs through Red. Like, Red could in like the next
That would be hilarious.
Animal Crossing.
That is something they would see. I think this is like what would happen if like an American company was developing Animal Crossing. See, Japan is kind of like removed from a lot of like, you know, pop culture in the West. I mean, not really. I don't know. They kind of do their own thing.
They love cowboys.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And high schoolers.
This is interesting. I didn't know this, that apparently Joe Biden 2020 presidential campaign released official digital yard signs for use in game.
Really?
Yes, they did a thing. I remember that. They did a thing in Animal Crossing.
And they also, apparently pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong were using it as a platform to protest in virtually.
What?
And so it was banned in China. So it's only
God.
available on the gray market in China.
Oh my god.
Wait, what the hell is the gray market?
It's like kind of like stuff that's like, it's not like illegal, but it's like not like sold. So you have to kind
Not
of like
quite black market, but like, you know, a slightly lighter tone.
yeah.
Okay. So like
more colors.
So like,
added.
what happens if they like? So what happens if they catch you with this thing?
I don't think you could like. I don't think they would arrest you or anything.
You pay them 100 bells and they take some organs. Too easy.
Oh, all right.
Just take some organs.
Yeah, you know, just take a few eyeballs. You got two.
Do you have do you have an organ donor character on your show? Who's just
No, but that would be fun.
Is there a surgeon animal in Animal Crossing that like you could have that as a character where like they're just looking to like take people's organs?
Well, I did. Yeah, I did do an episode with Rattle, who's a doctor who's literally wearing the doctor face mask, and I may or may not have alluded to the fact that he's literally a serial killer or a cannibal.
Oh my god!
Because he was saying he's had plenty of therapeutic misadventures.
Oh my god! What is that?
So, I mean, that kind of goes back to like, is it really cannibalism if the animals are eating other animals that they're supposed to eat?
Yeah, that's why when Coco, like I said, asked that, it was just such a funny moment because I never thought of it. And when I wrote the line, I was like, oh my god, I have to say this.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
it's,
do animals eat other animals?
I mean, it would be if it was be the natural order. I mean, I guess it would make sense, but like, it's just not. It's just one of those things I guess they don't talk about on the island.
Yeah, and then the other big thing with Animal Crossing that no one talks about is there's anamorphic, you know, creatures running amok. Like I said in my show, I wrote that line, proud of it. And then you got the human villagers, but you also got random. There's like robot villagers, and then there's freaking Coco. Just Google a picture of Coco villager.
Yeah,
He or she is literally a gyroid. You know, a possessed husk. Yeah, possessed husk, as I call him.
He's hollow.
Yeah, he's hollow.
Yeah,
I play off
no,
that.
he
I love the
is.
character.
The hollow undead.
Yeah. I have so much fun with that character on my show. Because one's like a super narcissist, and then Mr. Mask, the host, is just very peppy, and he just has no negative energy whatsoever. It's just all up.
Playoff, yeah. Like they're both like complete opposites. It's like, you know, it's the classic comedy duo.
Yeah, and I love it. I keep it simple for a reason, Rob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously you're like, oh, it's the classic duo. I'm like, that's exactly what I didn't want to make it complicated. I just wanted to make it funny. During quarantine, I wanted people to chuckle. That was it. It was a simple plan. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be working.
I think it's great. I mean, the last episode I was cracking up at all the Sopranos references. Like,
Yes.
like literally laughing.
I gotta watch this. I really enjoy Like, I just like watching it from time to time, just to like say, oh hey, he did a bunch of more stuff. Let me like go through it, which that could be what's happening with some of your audiences, like
Yes, that's what I think they're doing.
all of it.
But
I love
it is
it's
fun.
It's
It was
just
really
fun to like watch these short little things, and it's just really funny because it's well done.
Yeah.
Yes, and
It's
Rob,
really
what
good production values too.
yes, Robin. One time, I actually screenshotted when you first originally gave me your feedback for my show. I screenshotted. I look at it. You were saying it was like Mr. Mass basically descent into madness because I noticed in the first episode I'm talking how I'm talking now, and then later on down the line I kind of just became like Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec, where I'm like all peppy, like talking like this, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how did that happen? When did I do that? Like, it's just kind of funny when you watch it in chronological order. It's like hilarious how I change.
Yeah.
And I did that unintentionally,
But
which
it's
makes it even
perfect
better.
for like the narrative of your show.
Yes,
Like
yes.
Like,
And
there's like these mysterious forces that are controlling Mr. Mask behind.
Yeah, I always say, oh, the producers downstairs won't like that, and I have all the mysterious phone calls in the earlier episodes. You know,
Right,
I
so
just
like
I love it.
it's. I mean, it does make sense. It's like it takes a while for him to realize that he's in too deep, and Coco's in on it. And he's just like, yeah, you didn't know, like you didn't get that memo that this is going on.
Yeah.
Like, and like Mr. Mask is now he's just in like such a stuck position. And like I know in the first few episodes, he's like, oh, he's the wheel of death, and he's still like, he's like still peppy, like you said. He's still, he's still just like, oh, this is a fun segment that we have on our game show. And then later on, it's like he gets quicker with it. And he's like, now it's time for the wheel of death, and it's like he's anticipating it, where he's he's suddenly become corrupted by the influences.
I love it because that's the story I'm trying to tell. And when I hear you guys talk about it right now, I'm like, I get so excited because I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was trying to do. And that's the joy of making my show because I like the mystery behind it. And, I know a lot of my audience doesn't like that actually, which is funny. They like the more of the, the scripted formula, the jokes, the comedy, right? They don't really like the dark subtext. So I kind of have to balance that in each episode because, one half likes one thing, one half likes the other. So
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you could do a little bit of both, but the trick is just to figure out how much do I do of this thing before like it overtakes the other.
Yeah, because what happened was one of my best and closest friends, Michael Misch, he basically gave me the best criticism where he was like, he watched the new one and he was like, I laughed hysterically the whole time because of the Sopranos references, like you said, Rob. And then he's like, but towards the end, you lost me. Because I basically had a new character come in, spoiler alert, and he's just like, where are my episodes? You haven't been making episodes every month, blah, blah, blah. Like, I basically went into my story. So he's an example of someone who might not like the story parts and just loves the comedy. Yeah. Whereas there's a lot of people in the comments who love the story stuff, that I'm doing, like the dark subtext and all that other stuff.
You know what actually kind of reminds me of a lot is, I don't know, have you ever seen Board James? It was like James Rolfe, who does the AVGN.
I wish he would do them again. I loved Board James.
Yeah, but he kind of did that with like, Board James kind of started off as like this lighthearted thing. It was just him and like Mike, and they were just playing board games. And then they would have like, like Bootsy come on once in a while. And they would just play like board games. And then like as it went on, it got darker and darker. And then he realized that like he actually like murdered his friends, and he's like in an insane asylum, and he's just like reliving all these then the story goes off in this crazy like tangent. And when he did the series finale, he called it a season finale, but he hasn't done anything. So let's just say it's a series finale for now.
Yeah, I think it started when he did the Mr. Buckets episode.
It started with Mr. Bucket
because it was a Halloween special, so he made it like creepy, like intentionally. Yes. But then after a while, he just started like doing more creepy things, like every few episodes,
like the Dream Phone episode.
Yeah, it was mostly the Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
should do it.
But then he kind of he continued the story like after like the Mr. Bucket thing, like he kind of like continued with this like dark undertones, but then kept the same like comedy like on the surface. So that's like kind of like what Phil's show is. Like it's got like the comedy on the surface, but then like if you really look into it and you follow the episodes, there's like this dark undertone throughout the whole thing. That's like just like the driving narrative.
Yep. And then the co-host Coco just literally spells it out for Mr. Mask. But I came up with the plot, again, spoiler alert, where like the mask basically prevents him from, speaking his mind. That's like my whole idea behind it.
That makes sense.
Where he's basically just like cursed doing this show, and he can't express any opinion. He's just saying like, and now for the Wheel of Death. Like he just goes right into it. And Coco's like, "Are you serious? Like, can't you see what's going on?" Like he's self-aware, and it's just kind of funny to play off that those two characters in the same room.
Mr. Mask is the embodiment of the audience that just wants the comedy, and Coco is the embodiment of you trying to tell like the dark story behind.
Oh, that's
comedy.
a great theory. I like that.
Yes, that is a good fan theory, Rob. Let's call it a fan theory.
I do like that.
May or may not be true.
The way that you're explaining the Mr. Mask thing reminds me of the Mad Hatter in Batman. How like he with all of his hats, and like sometimes in the Arkham games they have like the rabbit masks and like the Alice in Wonderland masks on too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The mind control.
See, my main inspiration was actually Majora's Mask, because when I was a kid, I loved the idea of like when they put on a mask, you become a different character and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I like the metaphor behind it in the show, Mr. Robot and everything, especially V for Vendetta. Even like I just like the whole like the mask theme. Yeah. Obviously, with COVID and everything, like the theme of a mask is now different in the world and pop culture.
Yeah.
But my show, I just wanted to stick to the old school themes, which was like the mask represented like hiding who you really are, or maybe you're cursed, or you put it on, or you literally are the mask, like, Jim Carrey or something,
Yeah.
Like, I just like that type of mask metaphor, not how people view it nowadays with, everything with COVID and everything.
Right.
So, yeah. But that's my whole thing with my show. I just love the mystery of it and mixing it with the comedy elements.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah. It is very, very cool, and I'm glad that you did this. What do we got? All right, we are at the 1 hour mark. Hey, guess what, audience? I'm thinking about you guys. Everybody in digital to media device land. I don't want to give you too much time. I don't want to give you a long episode. I want to get it right. We're short and sweet and to the point, because I love you fellas. All right. So before we get into any last things, I just want to mention that New Horizons total 2020 sales were 31.8 million.
Holy shit!
Wow,
that's huge.
That's great for a Switch game. Jeez.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Nearly all, like everything else from Animal Crossing, like all the other ones separately, their total sales for from inception to 2020 have been they were a little bit more than 35 million copies total.
Mm-hmm. But that's over their
entire lifespan.
Yeah, this is just over a year that this
is
come out.
1 year exactly.
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy. And I mean, by now I'm sure that New Horizons has totally eclipsed those sales. I don't know what the numbers are for 2021 yet, but I'm sure they've just shattered that.
Yeah, I imagine they've gone up.
I think they've kind of changed Nintendo's strategy a little bit, because I think Nintendo was kind of being a little wishy-washy with the Switch the last couple of years. They weren't sure if they wanted to continue it or go to their next console. And I think the fact that so many people bought this game, and a lot of people bought a Switch just to play this game, I think that's kind of inspired Nintendo to continue with this, at least continue with the Switch, maybe not in this current form, but I know they're coming out with the Switch Pro eventually. And, this thing that, you could do, mobile gaming, but also, TV gaming. You could play it at home and then, take it with you wherever you go. I think it's kind of, really, Animal Crossing has, really, driven that home. And now, Nintendo's going to really stick with it.
I think so, too. I mean, they should give it, a few more years. I feel like Nintendo would think, well, the other next-gen consoles are coming out, so I guess we should start doing something, too, where it's you gotta you milk the console.
Yeah.
Like just
I think
just
Nintendo's
leave it
been a
there
little.
for a little bit. They haven't
The
released
Wii
too
U
much
kind of
for
failed.
it.
The Wii U
Yeah.
failed to beat expectations.
Well, the Wii U only failed because they marketed it badly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they
that
also-
was the only one I
it
ever
just-
got.
It just had
It-
it just had a bad name. Like the Wii U made it sound
Yes.
the brand. It made it sound like it was an extension of the Wii and not a new console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
they
And it had
called-
some good games. It had like the Zelda remasters.
Was
were
that
really
Skyward
good.
Sword? Was that what Skyward Sword, or was that on the Wii?
That was on the
that
Wii,
was-
the original.
The Wii. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But they had made it for the Wii U also.
You had that zombie game, Zombie U. I heard was really good, but I can't think of anything
It
else
was
in the
not.
Wii U.
I played it at a party. I don't know if you were at this party. It was at Roberto's house, actually.
Probably yes. No, that's why I love the game so much because he
Someone put a
played
Wii
it.
U- we were playing it. And I was like, "This is not that great." I didn't like it that much.
I think
Because that was one of the games like when your character dies, he dies like
Yeah,
forever.
You become a zombie though, too, don't
Yeah.
you? Like if you die.
okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense. But yeah, I
And then you would have to run back to where you died if you wanted to get all your gear. So it's kind of like Dark Souls esque.
Oh yeah, that's kind
oh
of
okay.
I like that.
And that's why it's cool, Rob. That's about the extent of how I can defend that game, just because
Yeah.
of that feature. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to sum it up, like I just feel like if like I don't want to spend too much time on this because we got to start wrapping. But like I figured, if they just called it like, if they called it the Wii 2 even, like people would like at least get the idea together. Oh, it's a different console.
That would actually kind of like be a little bit good too. It was like a play, like they had like the whole thing with the Wii was like they called it the Wii, so you could be like, oh, we would like to play. That was like their commercial. So
Yeah.
like the Wii 2 is kind of like continuing that little like play on words a little bit, like
Yeah.
oh, we would like to play too. Like
Right.
I don't know.
I don't
Me
know.
too.
I think that would have worked because just the way that they marketed it, and like they barely had any like original games for it.
Yeah,
A lot of them were just like
Yeah.
games that they were switching over, so it made it, no pun intended, so it made it sound like they were, like, it made it sound like it was just an extension of the console, like an upgrade of the Wii, and not
Yeah.
necessarily its own new thing. So that's really why it
Yeah.
I think Tron
Yeah,
Freeze was like one of the few original games that for the Wii U that I could really remember. Which I will never play. Oh, and like Pokken Tournament too. But like I'll never play
Oh, yeah.
Freeze because I played as I'm sure it's an amazing game, but I played Donkey Kong Country Returns and they made it just so damn hard that I said expletives that I will never say again, and I don't know what dimension they came from. These were words. These were adjectives that make no sense whatsoever and should not be in the same lineage as this curse word, but they became. I basically had written a book of brand new curse words, and Urban Dictionary was going to have to pay me if I really wanted to like start writing it out. So I cannot play that game, and I cannot play anything from those Donkey Kong developers because it's not good. It's not good for the Earth.
and on that note,
Speaking of
As Mr. Best would say, on that note,
all right,
moving on.
Do we have any closing thoughts, everybody, on Animal Crossing, the impact of it, the game itself? Should people buy it? What would they like? Do we have anything else to add to this thing?
it's a fun game. I'd say buy it.
Yeah.
I would definitely, I would definitely say buy it. It's very relaxing if you want a change of pace and you don't want to worry about doing like 100 daily quests, and
Yes.
you could just do whatever you want at your own pace and not stress and play with friends and collect things. If you like collecting a lot of stuff in video games, like if you're one of the people that loves achievements and all that stuff, or like catch 100 different of this and 100 different of that, then the game is for you.
Yeah.
So.
All right, very cool. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Phil. We appreciate you coming on the show and doing everything,
Yes.
taking the time, and like just being all around a good dude, coming up with this cool content, and like, thank you. Also,
And thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
dude, of course, thank you. If you want to write anything, that would be cool. If you don't, that's okay too. Just keep doing your own thing. Tell the good people down in a digital media device land what your stuff is, where they can find it, a brief summary of it, if you will.
Yeah, just hit me up on Chinephil Films. Again, it's spelled like cinephile, except you take out the E, so Chinephil Films on YouTube. And it's just an Animal Crossing comedy show. You can watch it once a week. I come out with episodes as quickly as I can, but they take some time, so I try to do by the week. And I do a little filler here and there, so at your leisure, take a look.
All right, that is the show. Thank you very much, Mr. Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
This has been Why Does This Exist? We are a show about the weirdest in pop culture. Be sure to catch us on every place that you get your podcasts. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be nice to us. We'll be nice to you. If you want to be a jerk to us, all right, fine, whatever. It's your prerogative.
We'll still be nice to you.
We'll still be nice to you because we are dictated by the wheel. Not the death, but the wheel in general.
Oh, shucks.
I got a torture rack in my basement. Personally,
The TMI of the month goes to...
it helps me unwind.
No pun intended.
Literally.
All right.
Literally. Probably literally.
Alrighty. But thank you guys again. Don't forget to head on over to patreon.com/whydoesthisexist. We've got all the fixins for you, and whydoesthisexistpod.com. I've been Chris.
I've been Rob.
And I'm Phil.
Good night, everybody. And don't
Good
forget,
night.
question everything.